Here we're going to graph the function 2 minus y equals 1/2 x with x being greater than or equal to 0. This is our domain, all right? A restriction on the x values, which will also affect our range, which I want to find at the end of this video. Okay, so we're given this function here, and so far we've always been able to graph things, graph them with plotting points and kind of connecting the dots. So that's what we're going to do here, and to do that I want to get y by itself. So to get y by itself, I subtract a 2 to both sides. Okay, I have negative y left here because 2 minus 2 is 0. And then a 1/2 x minus 2, those are not like terms, so I'm going to keep 1/2 x by itself and 2 by itself on the side, minus 2. But I had this little negative here. I don't like that. I want to make it a positive. So I can divide by a -1 to this side. But remember, when I divide by something, I divide by it to all parts, when it goes especially over the equal sign, all parts here. And so I negative y divided by -1, which comes out to be a positive y. Okay. And then I have 1/2 divided by -1 is a -1/2 x. And I have a -2 divided by 1 becomes a positive 2. Okay, be careful with your negative signs. Be careful here that we already have a negative and minus value. It cancels out with this -1 here. So our function is the same function that was written from the beginning, and just in a different form. Okay, in a form that we can easily make our table. So I have y equals -1/2 x plus 2. So let's go make a table here of x and y values. Okay, to see what type of what our graph might look like here. And again, here's what I want to be careful with our domain. We're given a restriction that x has to be greater than or equal to 0. So by plugging in some values, I have to make sure all the values that I'm plugging in are greater than or equal to 0. And so what I like to do is kind of pick the first value, the lowest value in this case, which is 0 that x could be. So I'm going to put 0 in for x, and I plug 0 in for x. I have -1/2 times 0, which is 0 plus 2 right there. So I have a coordinate point 0, 2, which will be on our graph. And now, here's a little note for ourselves when plugging in values. You can plug in any values you want and it'll work. You can plug in a 1, you can plug in a 2, 3, 4, 5, a 500 in for x. I want to pick values that I know are kind of simple and it'll be easy to work with. Okay, so right here I could plug in 1 and I get a -1/2 and add a 2 to it. Yeah, but a lot of times we can notice that if I plug in an x equals 2 right here, a -1/2 times 2, I'm kind of predicting ahead what's going to happen. And -1/2 times 2 comes out to be a -1, which keeps everything to be integers. Okay, so the first value, I'm going to see what that's going to look like here. I'm going to plug in a 2 in for x. So I plug in 2 in for x, I get a -1/2 times 2. -1/2 times 2 comes out to be -1, right? 2's will cancel out. Plus 2, so -1/2 or 1 plus 2 comes out to be a positive 1. All right. Now, some people always like to plug in 1 in for x. Why not? Let's plug it in here. In between, I plug in 1 in for x. I get 1 times -1/2 is -1/2 plus 2. So -1/2 plus 2 comes out to be 1 and 1/2 as our value. And a lot of times when I'm graphing, I like I said before, predict to make sure I just have integers. But we'll see that it will still work out and still have that value at the end. So we're going to go test this value at the end and see if it is part of our function, part of our graph. So I'm going to put another x value. Let's put 4 in for x. -1/2 times 4 comes out to be -2 plus 2 is 0. Okay. And let's do one more. We have 6. So -1/2 times 6 comes out to be -3 plus 2 is -1. Okay. And now I have some coordinate points I need to graph here. So let's make an xy plane. Okay. An xy plane. And let's make some units here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. -6 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And we can put in some other values, but 2's here. Okay, as we go along. So we want to plot the value point 0, 2. So 0 on the x, 2 on the y. Right here I have 0, 2. I'm going to skip this one for right now. I'm going to deal with the only integers. 2, 1. So I have 2, 1. 4, 0. Right there. And our last one, 6, -1. Right there. And we notice that these points, they all line up in a line. that if I connect them, will go on forever in this direction. Notice that I do not have an arrow going to the left because I have a restricted domain saying that x has to be less than or equal, or sorry, greater than or equal to 0. X has to be greater than or equal to 0. And so our x values are all greater than or equal to 0, but I have nothing to the left of x values that are less than 0. It does not exist here in this with our given domain. Okay, and we have a closed circle right here because x can equal 0, showing that it could equal that value. In other videos, we'll go over what it means to be less than or equal to or not with the open circle and closed circle. For right now, we'll just keep it closed if it's greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. Okay. Now let's look back to that one part, that 1 comma 1 and 1/2. Let's see if we have that here. So we have an x value of 1. If you look up to the y, right there has a height of 1/2, right between 1 and 2, 1 and 1/2. And so that point is still part of our function. And any x value that you plug in that's greater than or equal to 0 will be part of our function. And will give us our line here. Remember, these are infinitely many points together to make up this ray in the case here. So what is our range? What is the range of this function? Because we're given the domain that x is greater than or equal to 0. What is the range? Well, the range deals with our y values here. And we see that our y value, the largest y value possible on our graph is y equals 2, and then they get smaller and smaller forever. Okay, they keep getting smaller and smaller, they keep going downwards. And so actually, y is going to have to be less than or equal to 2. Always. Again, equal to, because it can equal to, but every other y value with our given domain will be less than or equal to 2. Okay? I hope this video was informative, and thank you for watching.